I'm Cortez, and I'm a critic, and welcome back. We're continuing our deep dive into the NFL preview, as right now we're going to the West, the NFC West, a team where San Francisco has once again went to the Super Bowl and lost to Kansas City. So the question I guess we can ask is, let's find out how the West will be won. And sadly, there are some teams that don't even have a chance because, well, they have a long recovery, and, well, I'm sorry, Cardinals fans, but if Kyler Murray can showcase great promise, then therefore maybe there's a chance that maybe this season will be much more eventful. But San Francisco is still one of the top dogs. The Rams showcased great promise, not to mention with Puka Nakua there and Cooper going to be there, and not to mention I kind of am banking on the defense being a little bit more formidable now they got those two Florida State players out there. Seattle is still going to be there. I have no idea what's going to be their kryptonite this year, but I feel like they still believe in Geno Smith and the receiving core is still attached. I think Walker's going to be there. So, Arizona, you're going to go through a very difficult process moving forward. Now, granted, we are all really excited for Marvin Harrison Jr. to finally showcase why he was viewed as the top wide receiver. And I'm kind of hoping for that too. But even with all that, 7-10 might be the best. Now, there were some games you guys played really well toward the end of the season with basically almost a fraction of your starting caliber you have now. This might be the official Gannon's official year as a head coach of Arizona with a full staff and a full roster full of great players to go around. But you're in a tough spot. You got three teams that seems already be a little bit formidable. There was a lot of unnecessary drama going on with Arizona with Marvin Harrison, Kyler Murray in the past. So there's been a lot of stuff about players off the field versus players on the field. And, well, let's be real. This was kind of hard to try to find your MVP on it, especially on the defensive side. But Week 2 versus Los Angeles and Week 5 at San Francisco will be the two games I would say was keep an eye on. If Arizona wants to make some sense of noise or even just some disruption, after 5 weeks, you played against your two arch nemesis that are going to be fighting for the division in the Rams and San Francisco. If you can somehow split that, or better yet, win both those games, I will be more than happy to say Arizona seems to be more serious than we're giving them credit for. And maybe San Francisco needs to be wary that they're not going to run away with this division as they thought they were. Because I think some people still believe that San Francisco, not just the division, but the entire NFC is theirs to lose. I disagree. But I can see the understanding reason why that. But for Arizona, 7-10, you'd be better, but I think everyone else will just be a little bit better. 5-12, it could be a bad season. Kyle Murray's health, I think we'll see how versatile he becomes. I think Marvin Harrison might help. For all I know, Marvin Harrison could have like a 1,400-yard receiving season and 12 touchdowns for all we know. Could make the Pro Bowl in his rookie season. We don't know. But it's a good first step. Good first step for them. But at the end of the day, 7 wins is my ceiling, dudes. I'm sorry. Going to your offense and defensive MVPs, Kyle Murray, of course. He wasn't there basically at all the entire season. When he did show up, the Cardinals looked way more competent and way more focused. And with him coming in after that devastating injury that cost him the season, and now he's coming in, and with every quarterback getting paid, I'm sure he wants to prove that he's worth the money too. He's probably going to show out. Hopefully he comes in there and basically tries to push 30 touchdowns and less than 10 interceptions, like all great quarterbacks want to showcase, prove it, and about 4,500 yards. Defensive MVP was hard. I went with Zane Collins. Yeah, I was a fan of him at Tulsa. I thought he was a valuable pick, but the same thing I thought about Simmons from Clemson when they picked up. Apparently, players that I liked in college that seem to be versatile, they don't do anything in the Arizona Cardinals for whatever reason, and sometimes I feel like maybe they have no place for them. Collins is viewed as a defensive end, surprisingly enough, in the new defensive scheme for the Cardinals, and pass rush will always be a soft spot for me. I either go for the one that will get the most tackles, the most sacks, or the most interceptions. And out of all three levels of football when it comes to the Cardinals, Collins might be the one, and this might be a stretch of a stretch of a stretch. So, yeah, Collins might be your defensive MVP candidate until I see otherwise. But, yeah. And going to the final verdict for the Cardinals, top 15 pick, dude. I'm sorry. You guys might pick, 15th. Any closer than that, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't think you guys are going to be a top 10 again. But if you guys become a top 10 again, I'd be like, why? What happened? But I feel like with Murray in there and the level of competition will be much better, I will say that worst case scenario, you guys are picking 15th. Or maybe if you play better than I thought, you might pick 18, 19, close to 20. But I still see this season is not yet in your full wheelhouse, but at least you can see what you guys have with Kyle Murray in the full swing. So that is Arizona. Moving on. The next team that I feel like could possibly, but just not, we don't know, maybe. I have the Seattle Seahawks in the third place in the division. 10-7. I still believe this team could be a 10-win team. Even though 2 years ago they went to the playoff with Geno Smith, and this year they were basically on the final week with still hopes of making the playoffs. I feel like you cannot close the door officially on the Seattle Seahawks. I am wondering about their defense, mainly because their lack of pass rush. Bobby Wagner is gone again. He went to Washington with Dan Quinn, who was helpful in the foundation of the Legion of Boom. So Seattle's defense seems a little bit weak. Witherspoon, the rookie they got, has been playing wonderfully well. But I'm still worried about the front seven more than the back end when it comes to defense. So I would have concern that. We still have three great receivers coming into it, so I feel like Walker, the running back out of Michigan State, you guys picked up, is going to have a breakout year, which would be nice to have a running back that's not named Marshawn Lynch have a breakout year in Seattle. Even though Seattle has basically been like the graveyard and the farming of running backs. I mean, I've seen running backs succeed and fall and disappear in the drop of a hat in Seattle's history. I don't know if it's a Marshawn Lynch curse or what, but it feels like some type of inconsistency with the Seattle. Why their running back gets like the worst case of injured bug. But 10-7, I still think this team could be a 10-7 team. I feel like they can still compete with the Rams and the 49ers. Heck, they can probably steal 2 wins out of them, maybe even sweep a team. And I don't feel like Geno Smith's that one-year wonder is lost on him. I still feel like he's formidable compared to other quarterbacks. But at the end of the day, 10-7 is me just going, I'm stretching as far as I can for that argument. Your offense and defense MVP, like I talked about before, Walker, the running back, is going to be my guy. I feel like if he can rush for 1,200 yards, get a couple of touchdowns in there, maybe even get 10, that's going to help Geno Smith. That's going to help, even though we all feel the strength of Seattle is their receiving core. So with Smith, Lockett, and Metcalf, that clearly is their strength. But I'm telling you, Walker's going to be that, surprise, downhill runner they're going to need. So, and then Witherspoon, the corner. I know he got injured, but I feel like in his rookie season, he showcases why he was considered one of the best corners in the league as in the rookie class. And I feel like this is just going to showcase that he is not just a one-hit wonder, and it was not just because of reasons. So basically, I'm giving the MVPs to 2 young rookies in their second years to say, yeah, they're worth it. Trust me. So that's what I be. Verdict. I'm stretching on this one. I see them in the playoffs. I can see them in the play. If they miss it by like a tiebreak or something, I understand that. But to me, I always go by the best scenario. I don't go by flip a coin. Best case scenario, I see Seattle in the playoffs, and they might be one and done. But I can still see them going to the playoffs. And they could just barely miss like they were last year. So 50-50, flip a coin, yay or nay. But I feel like they're good enough to at least be in the conversation till the very end. And if they make it, we should not be surprised. That's Seattle. In Seattle, my hair is a wreck because I don't like wearing hats. So that leaves the 2 teams that I fear everybody is wondering, what am I thinking of? What are you thinking? And until I can see more, I know I made a very brash decision, but the Rams will be second place. Until I know Brock Purdy and the Niners have been going through a lot. Ayuk finally got signed. The time of this recording, Ricky Pearsall was shot, and he's just been released by the time of this recording. And well, let's talk about the Rams first before we get to that story. The biggest thing for me is the Rams defense. The Rams defense is the one thing that I'm like, I would give you. I even said in my draft recap that I believe the Rams could win the West. I still believe that they could, but coulda, woulda, shoulda on paper sounds great until you perform it on live on audiences, and therefore they tell you it sucks. But for right now, because I'm a little bit of a coward, I'm going to hold my guns and say the Rams will be better than they were last year. They'll still make the playoffs, but the Niners defense is the big thing. And the Niners have always had the Rams number for some reason. Even when the Rams were clearly the much more superior team, the Niners always have their number. So for the sake of argument, I am going to stick with my and say the Rams are going to go to the Rams are going to be good, but they're just not going to be, great. And the big thing is, of course, I mean, receivers as great as Puka Nacua did in his rookie season is going to be hard. Like, can he do it again? I'd be like, dude, if he catches for 1,400 yards, 1,300 yards, and Cooper catches another 1,200 yards, and they have like almost like, 3,000 yards combined by two receivers, and that sounds like a win. But my focus on defense, Verse and Fisk, the two Florida State defensive linemen joining forces to become a dominant force. That's my bone focus for the Rams. So Week 3 versus San Francisco is a big one. It's going to be a big motivational swing. And the thing is that Week 15 is at San Francisco, and that could be probably determining division placement and in some cases maybe even playoff position. But Week 3 versus San Francisco, Week 12 versus Philadelphia, and Week 15. So the beginning part of the season, not a lot of heavy hitters. Toward the end of the season, you're going to probably find out the teams that are either fighting for playoff spots, comfortably in the playoffs, or, destructive, doomsday level threats that are going to destroy the NFL. And you ask the question, can you beat those teams, Philadelphia and San Francisco? Because I do believe those teams will be better, especially if they're as good as they're advertised. By this time, they should probably know who they really are. Whether they are heavy run offense, dominant blitzing force, sack masters, whatever, they should figure out that in. So 11-6 is the highest I can give the Rams because I feel like it won't be as easy in the NFC West as it was last year. Because the Rams was a big surprise to a lot of teams making the playoffs in general. But to me, that is why I am giving the Rams that. But if things go south really, really fast, mainly because of Matthew Stafford's health, and the defense has not been clicking and it takes too long, that 11-6 can turn to a 7-10. There could be three or four losses that would just be like, dude, costly penalty towards the end. We couldn't, get the first down. Like just last second heroics, just couldn't finish the comeback. Instead of going for the extra point, win for two. Like something like that could be a reason. The Rams could have like 3 or 4 losses with less than 3 points. Seriously, it could be that kind of season for them. Your offense and defense MVP will go to Puka Nacua and Tre'Davious White. I'm picking him because one, when I was doing this, when I did the review, I forgot he was there, but also I feel like he was in a crowd of a lot of good secondary players back in Buffalo. And when it comes to the Rams, there's no real. I mean, Wagner was great, but then he went just back to Seattle, so he didn't show up next year. There wasn't really no other Ram player besides Donald that really showcased the Rams, anything. So I'm going with White. Yes, I know he got injured in Buffalo, and he's coming in after an injury. But if he plays 80% to what he was last year, and then he gets better, I just feel like he will be the best, defensive front they have, best defensive player they have for the Rams moving forward. Like I said, I have not seen what the rookies have done, even though I am very high on them. But right now, White will have a comeback year and have 6 interceptions, maybe 2 picks, 2 defensive touchdowns. Who knows? But yeah, I think White will be your MVP for defense. And with my verdict, with everything I said about the verdict, a lot of it's banking on Matthew Stafford's health. I know there's some talks about his contract and about who wants to play after that, and I know injuries have been something I was concerned about him because I'm like, dude, you're in the Hall of Fame. You won a Super Bowl. You have done enough, dude. Don't break yourself before you have the rest of your life to live with your wife and kids. But I still see the Rams going to the playoffs. I probably feel more confident that the Rams will go to the playoffs than I do about Seattle. The only reason why I feel like the Rams will not make the playoff is injury bug. Is that the injury bug comes and overwhelms the Rams, and some of the veteran players just, feel like the end is near. And the Rams have a lot of young players still, and have a lot of players that proved themselves very early from last year. So the Rams could be on a direction where out with the old, in with the new, and that could even go all the way up to coaching. If McVay feels like that, well, because he wanted to leave probably earlier than did, like with Donald, go pursue career. He did enough in his career, he thought he was. So, but I can see him making the playoffs. I can see him win a playoff game. Do I see him in the conference championship? Not confident with that statement, but I'll say, yeah, I can see him. So that's the Rams. And that means y'all know the division winner, the team that probably is the team to beat, even though I feel like it's not from the West, it's from the East. San Francisco 49ers will be the division winners again. And my biggest banking is defense. Brandon Ayuk finally got paid. Deebo got his number changed. Christian McCaffrey in the cover of Madden. Brock Purdy is waiting his turn. But like I said earlier, the time of this recording, Ricky Parcell, their first round pick, the 31st overall pick, and their first round pick, got shot by a 17-year-old. That's like entry. That's like tons of levels, just stupid and bad. But he got shot in the chest, but you're like, what? And I can't help but feel that their wide receiver that got shot, that if Brandon Ayuk was not signed before the incident, how of a panic the 49ers will be, because like at the time of this recording, we don't know the timetable of his recovery. He might be gone for the whole year. We don't know, which is incredibly infuriating for a rookie, a first-round pick rookie, to literally have his life nearly slipped away by the events, by the actions of a 17-year-old. Freaking immature kid. Luna's life on that. We have enough tragedy enough with athletes already this week alone. But, man, that's... I pray and hope for his recovery as soon as possible. And I'm hoping that when he recovers, he's able to come back and play to the level that got him the 31st overall pick in the draft, and help the 49ers, continue becoming the dominant force in the NFC that they have been, and him and Brock Purdy develop, a dynamic duo. I hope for the future. But man, Brandon Ayuk's contract, when there were more talk about him leaving than staying, and then when he finally got the contract, then the shot, and then all this, and you're like, yeah, I still see him win 13 games. But man, there's been a lot of concern about the Niners. I mean, you went there to Super Bowl twice, and the Chiefs took you. And the Rams beat you in the NFC Championship game, and they won the Super Bowl. And then you're back here again, and everyone else, including the Philadelphia, is getting way better than you. And you're thinking to yourself, well, what's going to happen? And 13-4, because I'm still banking on the defense. I'm still banking on Warner. I'm still banking on Bosa. I'm still banking on... the Greenlaw thing concerns me because that was so late. I don't know if he's ready to go even at all. Their secondary side... I mean, there's a lot. And there could be just a case of what I think Buffalo Bills is going through this year. You have a lot of star players and didn't do anything with them. The only difference is the Niners actually went to the Super Bowl with those players. The question is what they do here. But even the worst case... I still see him 11-6. I still see him winning the division. And maybe they won't get the first round bye, but I can still see him being division winners and have a home playoff game. So that's how I feel. I mean, week 7 versus Kansas City. Week 8 versus Dallas. The good news is they're both in San Francisco, so that takes the pressure off them. But then week 12 at Green Bay, which I'm sure there's now developing the new modern history of rivalry between these two franchises. With the notion of, if Green Bay's as good as they're saying, and I'm still just going, now wait, I can't help but feel a little bit like this could be a game that could, whoever wins this, basically could almost put the other team on the verge of saying, dude, you might miss the playoffs if you're not careful. But that's just how I'm feeling with them. The offensive MVPs, the offense and defense MVPs for the 49ers, I still got Christian McCaffrey, because he can catch, he can run, he can throw, he does it all. Hoping the Madden curse does not come and take a victim this year. But Christian McCaffrey has been the go-to guy. I feel like he's been such a positive for the 49ers since he's been there as a catcher and a runner. So versatility will get you my vote. Defense, Nick Bosa. Sack Masters, I would love Sack Masters. I would give a couple of points for Fred Warner because leadership and just that, dynamic, overseeing type of feel. I'll give it to Fred Warner. But I sometimes have a soft spot for people that sack quarterback versus the people that, find out what the quarterback's going to do. So Nick Bosa will be my defensive MVP. And the verdict for the 49ers, Super Bowl. Super Bowl. And I'll be like, you guys get there again, win it, please. I don't care if it's the Chiefs. I was hoping for a Bengals and 49ers, like the third time the charm these two franchises fight each other in the Super Bowl. I thought that'd be kind of cool. But yeah, 49ers, Super Bowl. Obviously. Duh. So that's the NFC West. And that means we're going to the AFC West. So I'll see you then, and we'll talk about how the team, the West, is going to potentially get a three-peat. I'm doing my best to jinx it. But until next time, I'm Cortez, and I'm a critic. Thank you very much for watching.